Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Edward Park, the host of the Recharge Biomedical podcast, and I'm a Harvard trained doctor. And for the last 5, 6 years, I, like you, have been curious about coronavirus. Before that, we just called it the common cold. The coronavirus is about 20% of our seasonal upper respiratory illnesses. But something strange happened in 2020 and then 2021, and now we're just feeling the repercussions. So I would say almost half of my patients, maybe less, are relating stories where they got somehow suddenly damaged after either getting coronavirus for a second, third, fourth time or getting a vaccine. So I like to start off with 3 testimonials that I recorded last night, and let's see what these folks have to say about their experience. Let me know in the chat if you can't hear this. Go.
Hello, my name is Jasmine. I am a mother of two, and they were very young in 2021 when I got vaccinated with a single Moderna. And initially, it was a buzzing feeling across my body. And when I waited out those 15 minutes, the nurse reassured me that that was normal, that it was a quote zinger. So I left, and I just never felt the same. My sleep was quite unrestful for the first few nights, but so many people had warned me that to expect it to be really harsh. And I began noticing this vibration in my throat, and I would wake up, and on an occasion at least, I did throw up from that. I began feeling like everything that I did was harder, from physical to mental exertion to my normal life. And I was looking for ways to feel better. So I tried cutting things out of my diet. I eventually went on the keto diet, and remarkably, this was about 6 weeks after the vaccination, and I began feeling really great until everything went horribly wrong. And I was woken up in the night to this crazy pain across my upper left quadrant, which is the arm in which I was vaccinated. Ever since that pain started, I went into pure insomnia, laying on my stomach, and my whole back would spasm, throwing my legs up in there. And it felt like there was a spider web on my body, like kind of like a pixelated feeling.
You had paresthesias, you had fasciculations, you had
Yeah, a lot of
global,
fasciculations,
almost
the
chorea type of thing.
things moving, like kind of like a crawling, like things would go back and forth. Um,
And so
even
you had a lumbar puncture. They found not much, but what was this what antibody?
I did test positive for an antibody associated with nerve damage. It's associated with neuropathy, meaning disease of the nerves, typically the small fiber nerves, which control your sensation and your autonomic functions.
Life was totally derailed by this one shot, in your opinion. And so, fast forward, you I came out to treat you. Initially, it didn't seem to help, but then you found out you were having problems with absorption. You had a pancreatic problem. So that in combination, you just kind of
Yes.
got from like 30% yourself back to like somehow 70%, and you went back to exercise and you practicing law. And but the
Yes.
thing was kind of you were bullied into it in order to visit your grandfather, right?
That's right. Initially, my grandfather was fully vaccinated with Pfizer, and my grandma called me to tell me something was wrong. He began having dementia like symptoms that required him to go into a care home. But the onset was so quick that the neurologist in that case aligned it with the type of dementia that happens rapidly and involves rapid death. So for me to see him in the care home, he went from living at home and working as a scientist to a care home,
Wow.
that I needed to get vaccinated. In my opinion, I needed to get vaccinated to visit him at the care home. I was not allowed to visit him at the care home. So even though I wasn't rushing to do that, I chose to do so because it was really important to me. I mean, they literally raised me.
All right, so that was Jasmine in Hana in Maui, and we wrote about her in the book. So she somehow got back to 70% function. She was really a functional cripple. So that was a kind of a nice change for her. It hurt her in a lot of different ways. The antibody she was referring to was trisulfated HDS. I forget what it stands for, heparin something. And it's present in about 30% of people with small fiber neuropathy. Next, I want to share something of a patient of mine, 6 treatments. She's 93. We just spoke last night. So we're talking to the wonderful Mary Louie in Maxwell. How are you, Mary?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you.
Good. Yeah. Jade is 5 now. Your little doggy. She's a big doggy now, huh?
I what?
Your Jadey is 5 now. Time flies, huh?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'm 93.
I know, and you look great. So
Oh,
let's talk about what happened. So back in 2022, I think you got a vaccine. Was it the Pfizer?
yes.
And then all of a sudden, or how long after did you start feeling weird?
Probably within half an hour,
God.
the pain started.
But in all fairness, you had arthritis, but it's like someone just lit it on fire, huh?
Yes. Well, it was just mild before,
So it was
but it
like
was like
shoulders, back, hips, fingers,
every joint.
every joint. Wow. And so you were like that for a year, and you were like trying to go home to Jesus and everything. You were just sick of it, pain, huh?
Well, I couldn't turn my head or anything.
I know, or play the piano or anything. So I
Uh,
came up there a year later, and we gave you the shot IV and the nasal. And then what happened? How quickly did it improve?
well, the next morning, I could turn my head,
Wow.
and now I can play the piano even.
I love that.
And
Yeah,
Dr. Park, my pure white hair is turning dark,
I know. I got pictures of that. It's so great. You got some black hairs in there and your eyebrows too. It's amazing.
and eyelashes.
Yeah. How's your kneecap? We've been struggling with that. Remember you bumped the coffee table?
I don't even notice it half the time. In fact, today I didn't even notice the pain. It's just kind of a dull pain when I have it.
Okay. Well, that's good. So 93, you're doing great. You had like 6 or 7 siblings, and they lived very long lives. But you're holding out pretty good there in Maxwell. You've been there for how many years? All your life? 93?
Yes, 93 years.
Merry Christmas. Yeah. Well, you must be very proud of your son and your grandkids. And I just wanted to make sure that you're doing good. So we've treated you 6 times. You used to take the TA65. Maybe that's why your mind is so sharp.
I did what at 65?
Remember you were taking the recharge and the TA65, that longevity supplement?
Well, I quit. I didn't take them really.
You were doing that for 5, 6 years though. But okay, so you're feeling pretty good. You can move, you can play the piano, twist. And yeah, I think that's good. I can't believe you remembered my friend's name, Gentry, from a year before. You're pretty sharp.
Well, my friends they're all younger than me. They tell me that I'm doing better than them, so I don't know.
You're still pretty quick-witted. But yeah, no, it's been a pleasure to treat you. I'm just so glad that you're doing okay.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, hopefully you can
Well,
join.
thank you for your help.
Oh yeah, I love to see it. Yeah. So that was interesting. She really was in bad shape for a year, and it started a half an hour after her uh, Pfizer shot or Moderna shot, and it went away after a year, only after exosome treatment, nasal and IV. The next morning, she was better. And thank God she's been better for 2 years now and has received 5 other treatments, which is growing back her eyelashes, eyebrows, and black hair. All right, so the final video I want to share is also recorded last night. My good friend's wife, she had a horrible complication. All right, so we're talking with the lovely Michelle, and she was gracious enough to tell us what happened. So what happened? We should set it up. that you had transphenoidal surgery. There was a small pituitary tumor that they had to remove. So
Yes, a long time ago, but
when you get the COVID or you get the vaccine, there's like less of a barrier to
mm,
nose stuff getting to brain stuff. But tell us what happened.
right. So like I told you, I got COVID in March of 2020.
Right.
One of the first,
Oh, the nasty.
the really bad one that came from Washington State because somebody shared it with me. And at the time, there were no tests even. So I just like sort of kind of knew it was coming, kind of knew I just didn't feel well, but I didn't have a cough or a fever. And I was just really, really exhausted. But I think it really just affected me neurologically. The only real symptom that I can remember, just besides the sheer exhaustion, was I lost my sense of taste and smell. And I had this feeling like there was an ice pick. Somebody was putting an ice pick in just into one part of my brain. And I remember thinking, am I having a stroke? Is this what this is about? You know, but I didn't want to go to the hospital or anything. So I just waited it out. And it wasn't until 2 weeks later, I was reading in the New England Journal of Medicine or the British Journal of Medicine that loss of taste and smell was one of the.
It's very, pathognomonic coronavirus.
So,
It has been, yeah.
But for some reason that wasn't like a thing yet, you know. There was like
hysteria.
Yeah.
So the sense of smell came back after a few weeks, like
I think I told you it was like a couple months. It took a couple months to come back.
It kind of went away, comes and goes. But
it was when I first saw you for the first time when you did the cerebral spinal fluid.
The spinal, right?
Yeah, the spinal.
We weren't having as much of the ice pick, right?
No, but I had this weird feeling like I was having like fire ants were crawling always around my brain. And I also had massive brain fog and could like difficulty remembering things like words, simple things. Sometimes I would be stuck, and exhaustion, just like total exhaustion.
Pretty typical. So for a year you were like that. We did the intraspinal.
I mean, I think it was 2 years later. I think I tried NAD and I tried a bunch of stuff. I think I saw you in 22 when you did that.
Okay.
So,
in 22. Yeah. So that was a year.
yeah.
Yeah. So 2 years later, right?
Yeah.
You were really suffering. And then how soon after did you start to feel better after the spinal?
So I think that that feeling of fire ants went away relatively quickly, and it hasn't come back. So
Like
that's good.
Days or weeks or?
I think it was probably within a month. I think you would check back up with me, and I'm like, yeah, it's better.
Good. Well, thank God. So you still have some word finding and a little bit of low energy, but
and brain fog. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we're all kind of old. Your husband and I are born within 1 day of each other, so he's a day wiser than I am. But he's kind of been a fan of the exosomes for his knees. I guess he doesn't ice as much as he used to back in the day, huh?
Yeah. So always skiing, he had to allow a half an hour every evening to ice, and it wasn't until I think last season when one time I just said, oh my gosh, you don't have to ice anymore. It was, because the exosomes are subtle, I have to say.
Well, he's very persistent. He's gone, I think, 5 years in a row. So he's, for whatever reason, I mean, at 57, 20, 30 days a year is a lot for these knees.
Yeah, I mean, he skis last year. I just looked it up. He skied like 25 days. So,
awesome.
And no more icing. So then you came back. The next thing I did, because I was still having trouble, and I've been trying everything like spelling games, like I do word games just to try to remember the things. Then we did in the nose, right? And I did an IV.
Oh, remember what a head rush and euphoria you got immediately? That just shows me that the barrier, the base of the skull, isn't as intact, because people get like a little high or a little mellow, but it right away affected you.
I was like, I feel great. Yeah,
that was intense.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to be careful with that transphenoidal surgery. But anyway, you seem great. You look great, and you're speaking well. Everything's good.
Yeah, things are really good. I wish that I had a little bit more of the alertness that I used to have. And I don't know how much of it is aging or what have you, but
No, absolutely. I mean, there's one bunch of ways to optimize, right? With the hormones, with the
yes,
supplement,
yeah.
neurotropics, but hey, you're doing pretty good. So, how did the food intolerance? I know you messed up your shoulder one time, and we tried to fix that torn. Did that
Oh, right. I had like a frozen shoulder.
Mary's
Did you help
major?
me with that?
I think we injected you. Yeah, yeah. That 2 years.
Yeah, because that's gone. I used to not be able to put on a jacket,
Oh, cool. Yeah,
and
that
now
was
that's
a
gone.
bothersome thing. Yeah, it was in your Terry's major. And then
And
last year you had some food intolerance. Are you still having GI?
yeah, not as bad,
Oh, good.
but not as bad.
Well, I'm just glad that you don't have the fire ants crawling. I can't even imagine
Yeah.
what that would feel like. That's just horrible. Yeah.
Or that one headache, that one
Right.
spot.
Yeah, dude. There's a guy, famous Ripley's Believe It or Not, with a literal spike, remember, through his head.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you emerged somewhat improved. So I'd like to open it up to live questions. I know Teresa or Therese Widely came on. She submitted a question, which you can do through the website at rechargebiomedical.com. And she asks, how would you heal neuropathy from long COVID? Would you inject an exosome in a certain spot or system? That's a great question. We do inject along the nerves, which are usually next to the arteries. If we use ultrasound, we can get it right in the nerve sheath, and that can often have good results for neuropathy. So thinking about it mechanistically, about, I said, a third or less than a third of the people have this antibody. There's other reasons, but the small vessels and the small fibers can be attacked somehow through this autoimmune immune derangement syndromes. A lot of people are getting opportunistic infections. Some have tried to tie it to cancer. Definitely myocarditis, but also nerve damage in terms of tinnitus, POTS, or postural orthostatic hypotension. So yeah, there's a lot of people that have been injured, unfortunately. But it's kind of like the science is a little religious. Some people don't want to believe it. So that's where we're at. But what we're talking about is not like sort of on the periphery. Exosomes are a pretty strong regenerative signal. They can even cause stem cell dedifferentiation, which is, I think, how they're restoring nerve function in some cases. And if you go on my blog and watch the videos, we talk about some of the microRNAs that are key in stem cell dedifferentiation, remyelination, new neurite growth, which are the little stalks that grow out of the nerves. And we have great anecdotes of people whose foot numbness and Bell's palsy resolved as well as improvement in stroke. All right, if there's no other questions, we'll see you next month to talk about back pain. And yeah, appreciate you guys all joining. All right, this is Dr. Ed Park ending AMA or Ask Me Anything webinar, and we'll see you next month to talk about back pain. Thank you.